Hey guys, what's crack-a-lackin'? Um, yeah, I'm back. Um, by the way, I've only had like 2 hours sleep, and we are having a huge solar storm right now. And this is kind of what I was talking to you guys about yesterday, that I really thought that they were kind of underestimating how strong this was going to be. Um, it looked to me it was going to arrive faster than what they were saying. I kind of, like I said yesterday, I was agreeing with Noah more so than I was NASA. Um, I'm sorry, the other way around. NASA had it coming in a little earlier and than what Noah did. It doesn't matter, other than to say this. When we're talking about a CME that gets here in 36 hours, because that's what this one did. As long as I've been doing this, I've never reported on a CME impact that got here that fast. So why does that matter? The faster it's moving, typically, the stronger it's going to be. Okay? First and foremost, no fear. I do not think this is grid down stuff. Okay? But I am not going to downplay a G4 storm almost from the first hit. I know my title says G3, but I made that, and then I went right back to this, and it was already to a G4. This is how fluid this kind of thing is. Now, I hope you guys looked at my community post earlier today. I put a link in there to Tamitha Scove's analysis of what's happening right now. She hopped on and she did like an hour and a half stream, and she really explained it, went some really good detail, talking about the sunspot that, everybody's been talking about it, but she went into some really good detail there in it. Yeah. So I highly suggest you guys go watch that also. I'm not sure what she thought or anything like that. She sounded to me like she was leaning towards an earlier hit too. But more so with what Noah was saying. Or NASA, I'm sorry. Noah had this thing coming in almost a day later. And I absolutely did not think that was going to happen. So just the fact that it's here faster tells us that it was stronger. It's strong. It's moving faster, which it'll impact us more. So let me show you this first, okay? This is the magnetosphere. Sun's off to the left. You guys are going to get to see this thing hit. And I'll show it to you right here. I'll probably want to have to say it. Right there. Okay? And you're going to continue to see this for a while. Now, oftentimes there's a shock wave out in front of the main CME. And I was watching this, and as we're looking at this, I'm going to take you up here and show you the speed. When we're looking at this right here, the dark red, that's as fast as this model will show. So it's probably moving faster than what that's showing. And we're going to go look at the speed here in a minute. But as you can tell, look over here, G4. We're still at a level 2 radiation storm also. So, that is just what it is. Yes, and there's a lunar eclipse tomorrow. It's not a solar eclipse, but the lunar eclipse is going to happen. And that's actually, if we're getting storms, Tamitha actually talked about this. And she went into some really good detail that I didn't even know that was happening. So, but anyway, with that being said, when there's a full moon out, that's what it is. It sucks for aurora photographers because that light just kind of drowns some stuff out. You can't get as good as photographs of aurora when the full moon's out, right? Because it's just too bright. You can still get good aurora photography, but it does dim things out. It's a lot like light saturation when you're around the city, right? You got to go out in the country and look up to really get away from the light. But with that being said, there is a lunar eclipse, and when that happens tomorrow, when we're still going into these geomagnetic storms, which I think we probably will be, you're going to, it's going to be a neat thing, right? Because the moon's going to dim. Because it's not a full, where we're at, it's not a full eclipse. It's just kind of a partial thing. But it's going to dim the sky a little bit, so you're going to be able to see an eclipsed moon with aurora in the background or in the foreground, depending on, the perspective of where you're taking your captures at. Obviously, the moon's going to shine through aurora most of the time because it's brighter. Aurora is lower than where the moon's at, right? I mean, it's our atmosphere. But I just wanted to point that out. Thank you for bringing that up, because it definitely is a good point. And I forgot Tamantha even talked about that in her previous stream. No, I didn't know that was happening. That's the only reason why I bring it up too. But please go watch her video. She does really good analysis on it, which I would expect nothing less from her, because she's a professor. So, anyway, we're going to move on from that. Now, guys, please share this one out. This is again, this is the biggest storm I've ever reported on. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, it ain't like fearful or anything like that, because you can hear me. I'm still chuckling. Now, if I was in fear or concern, I'm never going to be in, like, quote unquote fear, because I'm aware of what's going on. And that's what I'm trying to do for you guys here. But as you can see this, watch the speed come in, and that's when that CME started hitting. I seen this happen, because I told you guys I was going to try to catch some sleep, and I got like an hour. And because all this stuff's going on, my mind was racing, and I couldn't sleep. So I just got up. And I picked up my phone, and I looked at space weather prediction here, right? And the first thing I see is a G3 immediately. I was like, wow, okay. So we must be getting the CME a little earlier. And that's exactly what's happening here. It got here 6 hours early, 36 hours. That's a day and a half. That is on the low end of what we would expect with any kind of a CME hit. Now, the Carrington event was like a double hit, I believe. It was an X45 flare with the CME. And I think the CME got here in less than a day. So there's a difference there, right? Now, but I do think we need to take it consider. I'm not saying it's Carrington at all, so don't think that. I'm using that as an example. I don't think it's like that. This is not a grid down thing for me. You might see some regional issues, okay? You might see some local issues, most definitely, with this kind of geomagnetic storm. And this did hit abruptly. It did not waste time. When this thing hit, and it hit hard. We see that happen, but we also see it come in slow sometimes. So, yeah. Now, you would think, and I want to explain this too, because I'm going to talk about the radiation storm real quick. You would think that it would increase protons, right? Because we're getting hit. Sometimes that's not what happens. So let me explain. If you look here, this is where we were at on the proton flux, which is the radiation storm part of it. You see what happened when we started getting hit? It took a dive, right? So what's happening here, and if I understand it right, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. If I understand this right, when you see that happen, what's going on is you have a flushing effect. So because of the faster moving CME, it grabs those protons in our magnetosphere and stuff, and it just flushes it out the back. Basically, it's helping clear the protons out. I'm not exactly sure if that's what's going on, but that's what I was kind of looking at there. I was wondering why the radiation storm level here dipped down when that hit. Now, as the stuff hangs around, that might increase slowly back up. If we get more flaring, it definitely will. The flaring has not stopped. You can see it here, guys. There's probably 10, 20 of them. I mean, just so many flares. A lot of them M class, you know? Hey, Mod Squad. Yeah, I can't answer your thing. You're more than welcome to be talking on that. It's not bothering me. What I'm saying is I can't answer you there, so I can't pull it up. Well, I guess I could pull it up here. Yeah, this is going to be, yeah, this is kind of crazy. So I thank everybody that's here. Now, I'm going to keep moving, and I want to say thanks to all the new channel members, too. Everybody's been donating, gifting memberships. I think it's a great thing. I made a few member-only posts and those kinds of things. So, we're getting rolling on that. Some really cool emojis. I'm able to add some of that back. Add some more emojis, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to move on here. Now, this is the German website right here, okay? Oh, wow. Okay, now, when I say that, it's just because I wasn't expecting to see what I seen. I'm not in fear. I'm not trying to upplay anything. I'm doing my best is to kind of help everybody bring it down a level, because I do think there's going to be a lot of fear and instigation of fear going on around this, and that is not what we do here. I will not do that. I won't allow anybody to do that, okay? Now, right here, guys, if you see this, that's the solar wind speed. It's 800 kilometers per second. That's about 2 million miles per hour. Okay? Now, we've seen faster than that. We've seen slower. I'm not sure if that's the fastest it's going to get. I do think that when it leaves the sun at a certain speed, sometimes it'll slow down by the time it gets here. But I'm not 100% sure. Oh, and also, I got a new model to show you guys. I really do. It's pretty cool, too. It's the Zeus model. It's over on ISWA, and I'll show it to you here in just a few minutes. But it's another CME tracker, and it's pretty cool. I'll be showing it to you often from now on. I seen Ben over on Suspicious Observer. He used that model and was showing it. So I didn't know that model was even out there either. So I've been learning a lot through this process, and I'm bringing you guys with me. And I want you guys to really hear me when I say that, because I really am. I'm learning, and I won't say things that I don't think is correct. If I'm questioning whether or not I'm correct, I'm going to tell you that. I'm not, I never went to college for this stuff. This is just something that I enjoyed, and I got into it, and I do think that I've learned a lot, and I am confident in teaching, not really teaching, sharing at a basic level of what's going on. I can't go as in-depth as a lot of people, but I can learn, and I can read, and I understand what I read and how things work after that, right? So I hope you guys can appreciate that. Actually, Jackson, yeah, we can't let that one in there, man, but that was funny. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I can't even read that one. It was funny, but we can't put bad words and vulgarity in the chat. It was funny, though. Anyway, see, that's what you need. We need that humor. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that part of that for sure. Yes, the BZ is like, oh my gosh. Thank you, Deep Quake, for bringing that up. Let me show it to you guys. Where'd I put it? Right here. Now, I want you guys to notice something. Tamitha actually talked about, I know I keep going back to her video, but I just watched it a few hours ago, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. But we look for the -6, right? We're at a G4 right now. Look where the BZ's at. It's in the positive. So anybody that's watched me for any length of time know that I would not have expected that. But it does show you that what I've been saying, that these bigger CMEs can overcome that and still give us a hit. When we're -6, we tend to couple, and our magnetic positioning is in the negative. So we look for -6 or more negative to really let stuff just flow in. This went back positive very shortly after it went way down here. It was at a -27. So, and also, guys, here's the speed too in the purple. So it kind of confirms what NOAA's was reporting on there. About 800 kilometers per second, and that is 2 million miles per hour. So as you got, and then you got the density here, and the density really isn't that high. And that's exactly what you would expect when things are moving faster. And that does go back to what I said about the protons getting pushed out too. Okay, so, you know, most people would expect that the radiation would increase as far as the protons. It didn't. It decreased sharply when this thing hit. So I wanted to point that out. Now, again, this is the HP. This gives us 30-minute increments. So it's more real time. Now, this is the German website, okay? If you come over here, you're not going to be able to read a thing unless you understand German. Well, maybe you can. Maybe they got this over here in English. I don't know. Yeah, it does look like that. It looks like this is in English. But this reading right here, this HP, is essentially the same thing as the KP. These are 3-hour averages, okay? These are 30 minutes. So that's why I like to show you guys this, because it gives you a more accurate of what's actually happening and how fluid the thing is moving, right? Because if we got a 3-hour increment, they would take this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and divide it by however many plot points are there, take an average, and then they would mark a line. So it would never be this high. It would always be lower than that on an average. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Now, in an overall picture of things, is that okay to do? Yeah, it's absolutely okay to do that. You know, because if you're only experiencing these G4 type of readings for 30 minutes or very shortly, it may not affect things a whole lot. And both of them have an advantage is what I'm saying. Okay? But I like to show this one because it lets us know more real time of what's actually going on. Right now, we're at probably I would say at 8.25. Okay? So if you take it over here, if you move this up to an 8.25, what are we looking at? G4. This next one we get is going to be a G4. How do I know that? Right here. This is on their site now. They are now reporting a G4. They just cannot plot it yet because 3 hours hasn't elapsed. This was supposed to be here according to them. If you go over here and look, this was not supposed to hit until, let's see here, so that's 1800, which would have been 6 o'clock UTC time, which would be in the next, well, it's about a 4-hour difference there, okay? So roughly about 6 hours early this thing hit. And they were forecasting a G3. When I talked to you guys yesterday, they were only forecasting a G2. So they started seeing things and they started adjusting their forecast. And rightfully so. They should do that, right? But this, I do think that this is going to change even more now. You know, if this thing keeps moving forward, moving up, and probably by the time I get off stream, I'll probably be able to give you another reading right here to see what direction this is moving. Okay? It's going to be interesting to see because of this. We went to the positive. So it may start to try to deflect a lot of this stuff. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Right? So again, guys, please share this out. Yeah. So let's take a look at, this is the sun right now. I haven't seen a whole lot of like big eruptions today. These two sunspots are most definitely still right in front of us. Okay. So let me, in that coronal hole, that became part of the biggest part of the story too. That coronal hole is what caused, and I said this yesterday, that coronal hole is what caused this geomagnetic storm. So we had all that stuff hanging around. If we hadn't got that high, our geomagnetic activity would probably have been down here when this one hit. So most likely it would have been a little bit less, I guess I would say, right? But because we were already getting a G2 level, and then we kind of dropped out of storm level for about 9 hours, and then we went right back into it from this CME hit. Now, this one back here was a co-rotating interaction region, a CIR, that's what they call them. That's what caused this one. What is that? I know you guys are asking. Okay, let me show you. This is the end little spiral, and what that is you get, say, one stream of solar wind that's moving kind of slow, and then it's between two different solar wind streams, that area in between them. So when you got a faster one catching up to a slower one in the front, it will produce a shock wave in between there. And those sometimes can put you into low-level geomagnetic storms. Okay? And that's exactly what happened right here. And it happened pretty abruptly, and that's what you would expect with those CIRs. Okay? You see how we're kind of low, and it just shot straight up, and then we didn't stay in storm level very much. We kind of bumped back out, and then right on that hill, we got smacked with that increase of solar wind from that coronal hole. And then, guess what? Okay, Ali, I got you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're probably right. Most people probably, especially younger people, don't have the attention span. But yeah, with something like this, I do have to give a little bit more explanation, but you're right. I could do some of those shorts. Might help. It's a good suggestion, actually. So I do feel like I kind of explain stuff over and over and over again. And I know I don't try to do that, but I do think that gets boring for a lot of people. And that's also why I don't try to keep everybody looking at a graph either. Nobody wants to stand here and sit here and look at this graph and hear me talk, right? You would much rather look at something like this and hear me explain. You know what I mean? So that's what I try to do. I don't always succeed, but that's what I'm doing now. But this coronal hole, guys, it actually survived the backside and came back around. And it was well formed when it came back around. And it allowed some really, really fast, high-charged particles to flood out. It's a hole in the corona, and that's the surface of the sun being exposed. So it just shoots plasma out, basically, and it comes at Earth, right? When it's in that position, anyway. So if we go down here, this is the sunspot itself, okay? And I know I circled that one, but there's more than just the one. This one here is very complex, okay? You got a lot of cores there. When you get the positive and negative swimming around each other, we don't want them to touch. When they touch, they reconnect, and it flares. That's why this thing has been flaring. I will also say this, that because this is flaring, we don't want it to stop. Now, let me explain. Let me go over here. Where should I show you this at? Yeah, let's just show it to you here. If you see these little ones quit, and it goes quiet for a period of time, it's like an earthquake. Okay? Earthquake prediction. You want those little trim. Well, you know what? Matter of fact, I hate to say it again. Tamitha actually talked about this too. But you want those little pops. Because what it'll do, it will help you get rid of some of that energy, and it'll stop the big ones from happening. At least it won't be as intense if a big one fires. Okay? So if we see this thing stop flaring, and it looks no different than what it did before, like it ain't decaying or anything, we're going to have to really watch it. Okay? Because if it does flare after that, it's probably going to be a big one. And this, until this thing is way over here, even when it's over here, we're going to have to watch it. But yeah, so very complex down in there. And things start swimming around. That's why we get a lot of the flaring. Okay. So this is just a black and white version. I'm not going to show it to you right now. Now, what I want to do now, I want to show you guys that new model real quick, because it's cool. It's another CME tracker. It's called Zeus. I knew they were working on it. I just didn't know it was here yet. Ben showed it in his video, and that's why I went over here and looked, and sure enough, it's here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to back this off. And I'm not going to go into depth exactly what this thing is showing us. I'm going to simply say it's a CME tracker. So I don't want to, go depth today. It's right here. You come over here to ISWA. Usually when you come over here, this is where I'm at, right? You guys seen this a bunch. All these little thumbnails you can click on, go to SDO and all those other things. But you have to change the sub-tab up here. Go to Heliosphere, and there's your Zeus right there. So let me click on it. Okay, and it's pretty cool. It's, I guess it's simpler and more informative than the other ones. It kind of doesn't make sense when I say it like that, but it's exactly what's going on. So again, we're not going to go into exactly what the compression ratio is. They're talking about the BN over here, shock speed, and maximum energy. Okay, so I'm not going to really go into that part of it. I really wanted to show this to you right now. So let me zoom in. And it is showing pretty much what the NASA model shows, okay? Here's your interplanetary magnetic field lines, these dashed white ones, okay? Here's all the planets and some of the satellites and their connection to the sun. But this black dashed one here in the front is actually the start of the shock wave. So they've incorporated that into this. So you can see this thing. I mean, it's a pretty cool CME tracker, and essentially it's showing us a lot of the same things, but it just seems to be a little bit more, I don't know, I guess easy to understand. I guess the artwork here too, the graphics part of it, looks pretty focused and clear, which I like. So, I'll probably start showing this one to you quite a bit. It also shows those lines watch when this one crosses our line. Our magnetic field line right here, this ball is Earth. Watch it get bent back. Look at that. You can see it stretch out our magnetic field line all the way up until it hits us. And then it kind of pulls out the back, and we're still trying to get back to normal. So it kind of does that. It's pretty cool, I thought. Let me know what you guys think about that. But, yeah. That is a good idea, Leah. I probably will start making a few shorts. That way, because I know that a lot of the younger crowd is into TikTok and stuff like that. Attention spans about, I don't know, 2 centimeters long. I have a problem with it too sometimes, guys. I scroll all the time. And I'm a firm believer it's because of all the media I look at. I played video games as a kid, all of that. And I know that's why my attention span really, and that's why I squirrel sometimes. And I do get better at it. But I do think limiting screen time is beneficial. I really do. There's times I'll shut my phone off completely and leave it in the other room and walk away. Because I don't want to have to think about it. If I think about it, I'm going to go there and turn it on and start looking at stuff. Right? So, we'll just leave it at that. But, so, yeah, guys, this is a G4 right here. I'm just waiting on this thing to update. I want to see the next, okay, we got the next one. It did drop down a little bit more, but now we have 3 readings, 30, 60, an hour and a half of readings in G4 range. What that tells me is we're sustaining that now. So we could get a few more upticks in this. I'm going to say this. I'm not ruling out that we hit a G5 right here. Look how close we are. That's an 8.5, guys. That's in the middle. Another little bump there, we're G5. So what does all these geomagnetic storms mean, and what can we expect, right? I know a lot of people ask that question every time I do a live stream. First thing I want, this is the aurora forecast, by the way. We'll go back over that in a minute. Oh, let me show you this first. This is a geoelectric field. Okay, this is reacting like we would expect it to. This is the electric field at the surface, right? And space weather affects it. Geomagnetism will affect geoelectric. This is very intense. Okay? Look where it starts. It starts up here and it bleeds down, right? So it's space weather's effect on unnatural electrical components. That's what this model is attempting to do, to show you that. You're going to see more intense signatures around higher populated areas because there's more artificial electrical components. Transformers, wires, wall switch, car battery, whatever. Anything that is not made in nature, that's what I'm talking about. Okay? So you can kind of see that. And you can see it filtering in from the top. And I do think that the mountain chains affect this because of elevation. So, yeah. Now, they're using this to try to bridge a gap between space weather and earthquake forecasting, because we do know that it does affect earthquake forecasting. We know it increases seismic activity all across the board, you know, from eruptions to, eruptions to earthquakes to all, you know, even geysers, any kind of seismic activity. We see upticks. Now, tomorrow, we're probably going to see reports where there were some things, because of this storm, you're going to see an uptick in electrical issues, like even fires in people's houses. This happens even at like G2, G3 level. We just don't talk about it a whole lot because it's not really like big time, everything's burning, right? I mean, what I'm saying is that we do see an uptick in that. It's easy to see if you go look. But you have to go look. Now, Ilea was talking about the aurora, right? So before that just squirrels out of my mind here, let's go take a look at that. This is an aurora dashboard, guys. Okay, if you guys go over to NOAA, Space Weather Prediction Center, if you guys just go to their main page, any page actually, see? You can go to any main page you want over here on NOAA. Go all the way to the bottom, and they always put their models that they show down here. These are links, right? So if you go over here to dashboard and you want to see all the tools that are used to look at aurora forecasting and all that, you simply click right there. And that's what I have up right here. Okay? So I'll just do this. How about we do this to show you? I clicked on Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. This is what I'm typically showing you, right? Almost every time. But if I scroll down, go back to aurora, here's that dashboard back, okay? So please go check this out. Go look at it yourself. But anyway, you see this. Ilea was asking me about aurora in Oregon, southern even. I think that probably, and she already knew this. I think we were kind of talking in the background. This is, it's going to get down there, it looks like. I would suggest, and I would like assert here, that number one, aurora love the equinoxes, and I talked about that before. We get more cracks open up during the equinoxes in our magnetic field. So anything we get hit with increases aurora. It gets in, right? So I have no doubt in my mind we're going to see some aurora reports from probably in Florida and Texas, because we were seeing that during a G2 storm, a low-level G3 storm, okay? I don't know, about a month ago when we got hit with the geomagnetic storm. So I do think that we're probably going to see those kinds of things happen. Cracks open up in our magnetic field anyway, more so around our equinoxes. So when you get hit with a storm like this, okay? Now let me also say this too. March 8th, was it 2000? Oh gosh, I can't remember what year that was. It was like six or 7 years ago. We got to a radiation storm, a G3. That was the first time. That was the last time we had an S2, an S3 radiation storm. And in my video yesterday, I told you guys the strongest radiation storm that we've had in that many years. But what month was that? March, right around the equinoxes again. So what I'm saying is that all applies here, okay? So if we go back over here to the Aurora dashboard, this is their forecast for tonight. Now, this says a KP of 6. We're over an 8 right now. So if it's dark where you're at and you're listening to me, obviously it's noon, about 1:30 where I'm at. So basically the other side of the globe right now. If these conditions continue, anybody in the States, you better go look, because this is showing you something we should see during a KP of 6. That's a G2 storm. We are at a G4, right? So if I go down here, it tells you what you would expect to see during those kinds of levels. The KP of 7, this is how far the aurora oval should be. This is a KP of 9. Look how low that is, right? And we're real close to that 9. The beginning stages of it, anyway. So, and I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to get there. I don't know. You know, I would almost say, let me say this. If this, well, look, it shot back down already once there, it looks like, or did it? Yeah, it went to -8 there. So the BZ is actually bouncing around like that. So my guess is it's probably going to go negative again, or at least fluctuate. So what that's going to do is going to allow stuff in, guys. It doesn't have to stay solid like this for it to really let stuff in. Now remember, we only have to be at like a -6 to really be coupled to things and get stuff in here. All right. Now, again, I highly suggest everybody, please, no fear, because I don't think it's anything like that, okay? This, like I said before, I've been doing this for about 5 years now, but this is the biggest storm I've ever reported on. It doesn't mean it's the biggest storm ever reported. Just means I've not been able to show you guys this since I've been doing this, okay? So that's what I'll say. But yeah, hey, John and Spirit, good to see you. Good to see you. Cul-de-sac, what's up? Hey, Ricky, Butterfly, good to see you guys. And again, guys, I can't tell you how thankful I am. You guys gifting the memberships and super chatting and all that stuff. It's awesome. I'm very humbled by all that. So just know that. And I'm not going to say that again to the stream, because I felt like I say that too much, even though it's the truth. I'm very humbled, but I don't think you guys want to hear me say that every time. So anyway, this is the Australian model. This is the same kind of data, right, as this one. It's just in a simpler format. That's your satellite line, which I wish this one had the satellite line, but it doesn't. But these are our satellites. This is the bow shock. So what we look for, that's the first point of contact of space weather and our magnetic field. So if that gets into the satellite line like this, that means these satellites are completely exposed to whatever space weather we have going on, because it's outside of our magnetic field protection. Okay? There's a lot of reasons why they leave satellites in these positions. A lot of different good reasons. There are a few that sit out in front of it. You know, you got like Soho. What's Soho? Soho's the one I show you over here on Seeds. Here's Soho right there. That's where it sits. It's 1,000,000 miles closer to the sun. This is the image. Okay? This is what you get. Right? That's the imaging you get. That's where that one comes from. It's 1,000,000 miles closer to the sun. Right? Now, I know I put in there snow and space. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I can get to... Okay. Here we go. If I scroll down here, this is what I'm talking about. Now, this one is unique in the fact that a lot of times when you get these big, it looks like snow, right? Or like your TV back in the day when something would go off air, little black and white TV, you hear the, and all you see is black and white, and then you start thinking about poltergeists, and you get scared. No, I'm just kidding. But that is kind of what I'm talking about here. What you're seeing there is all those charged particles blasting that imager. It's hitting the satellite. So let me run it back before that happened. Well, I guess I didn't go back far enough. What I can do, I'll take you back over here to Seeds. Go back to the 22nd. Look over here. This is what it typically looks like. Okay? So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next day when we got the X-Flare. Hey, Prygoat. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Hey, Kathy. Aloha. Okay, so thank you for that super chat. Keep up the good work. Those in colder climates, make sure you have extra fuel for warmth just in case. Great advice, Fry. Great advice. Even if you're just getting ready for a winter storm, you know, we should be prepped at least that much, in my opinion. That's great advice, Frygoat. Really is. Appreciate that a lot, actually. Okay, so there's that big eruption, right? See what happens? So we're going to watch that eruption again. Boom. It takes a few minutes, and then here comes the charged particles. Why is there a delay? Because it takes time for that to get to the satellite. Those are protons hitting that satellite, okay? It usually takes a couple hours for them to get here. An hour sometimes on the low end, sometimes even a little quicker. But I also want to show you something that I noticed here. I'm actually going to pause it here and take you back to over here. Well, maybe not, because I'm not back far enough. Okay, let's go back over here. I'm going to go ahead and hit start here. I want to show you that. Okay, so I'm going to back it up. I'm calling this kind of like the Phoenix eruption. The bird, you know, the phoenix. What's that look like? Doesn't that look like a phoenix? Looks like kind of like wing. It's just what it looks like, guys. It's nothing. I'm not trying to insinuate anything here. I just kind of coined that phrase for this eruption. But if you look, you got flaming wings here and kind of its head kind of tilting around here, and even looks like it kind of has a beak. You know, it's just something. You know what, though? Me and my daughter just watched Harry Potter a couple of days ago. So that's probably why my mind went there. Okay? But look at that. Ain't that pretty cool? So I'm kind of calling this particular storm the Phoenix storm. That's just what I'm calling it. Everybody else can call it whatever they want. But, or we can just give it a number like they do everything else. We'll give it, let's give it number 7777777 12.8567.32. Let's just do that. That's a lot better. Easier to remember too, right? I'm just kidding. But no, I really do think that looks like kind of like a phoenix is kind of sitting there. I just thought it was cool. You can even kind of see it over here on the black and white. But yeah. So Okay, so let's go look at the scales here, guys. Do I have them up? I might not even have them up yet. I don't think I do. Let's get them. Let's go get the space weather scales. So what can we expect? Wow. It's taking a minute for this thing to load. It doesn't usually do that. So you know what that's telling me, right? There's a lot of people looking at this right now. Okay? So just so you know, these servers sometimes can get bogged down. You know, you flood a web page with a bunch of views, it'll slow things down, man. It really will. Okay, so we're going to start with the G4 here because we're there, right? So what things are possible? Thanks, Ron. I appreciate you. Thank you. He says, Wages, brother, you're on it. Steadfast observer. Thank you. Well, thanks, Ron. I really appreciate that. Hey, Hilly. Good to see you, bud. I tried to send some people over your way yesterday. Hilly was doing a good Bible study, guys. If you guys are wanting to find a place to have a good Bible study, go check his channel out. Hilly, put your link in there, brother. Anyway, G4 storm. Severe, right? I'm always hesitant to say words like that because it tends to scare people. And again, there's no fear here. So if we're going to talk about grid down stuff, guys, I know this says G5 extreme, but we're talking something bigger than this, even. Okay? So let me say this. Possible widespread voltage control problems. These are widespread now. We're not talking about just a couple times here, there, and the third. They're saying that these kinds of things can happen. So this is why I'm showing you. And some protective systems will mistakenly trip out key assets. Listen to what I'm saying here. I don't even like saying it because it does scare people. It can trip out key assets from the grid. The grid. We're not talking about just your breaker box, guys. We're talking about grid stuff right here. Okay? It would mistakenly trip it out. In other words, it has like a safe mode because it detected stuff hitting, right? So it trips it out to protect it. That's what I'm talking about. Now, this probably won't have anything to do with most of you guys, but I'm going to say it anyway. May experience surface charging and tracking problems. And we're talking about spacecrafts, satellites, anything in space, ISS, that kind of thing. Corrections may be needed for orientation problems. In other words, they may have to make adjustments to keep the satellites in orbit, a few of them. Surface charging can cause all kinds of issues. The fact that we're getting hit with anything, it adds extra particles. So what does that do? Remember, particles have mass, so it causes drag. You could kind of think of, I don't know, maybe like a sandstorm. And say you're, I don't know, you start off in a Middle Eastern city and you're walking down the sidewalk. And you slowly start walking out toward the desert. And eventually you're walking in the sand, right? That slows you down. It's causing drag. That's exactly what those satellites experience when these things hit. Now, you know, you got to understand how orbit works too. It's continuously falling into the planet. It's just in a position to where it's able to fall towards the planet and kind of get flung around. And it creates enough momentum and all these other orbital mechanics happen to keep it in the position it's in. But so if you add extra particles and more drag, what happens? All that changes, right? So they can kind of fall out of the sky if they need. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to fall out of the sky. Probably shouldn't have said it like that. But sometimes they need steered back into place. Adjustments need made. Okay? Other systems. Induced pipeline currents affect preventative measures. I'm trying not to use all the word salad, but there's no way around it in this instance. High frequency radio propagation is sporadic. Satellite navigation degraded for hours. Okay? Low frequency radio navigation disrupted. Guys, we're talking about like ham radio operations and things. So when we get a storm this big, it affects the two main sources of communication. Ham radio, right? And then people that use like GPS and things like that, it affects that also. So that's not always true for a low-level storm. Sometimes it'll affect one and the other, and I'm not going to get into detail here. But, yeah. So, communications, why is that important? Well, because say you have a loved one have a heart attack, and because we're getting hit with this kind of stuff, the ham radio operator uses the same thing that first responders use, a lot of them, to communicate. So when they get dispatched out, it could slow them down. That would suck if you're laying on the floor having a heart attack. Hey, Trish, thank you for the gift of memberships. Appreciate you. You and hubby, I really appreciate that. What's your husband's name? I forget. You told me once before. You can put it in there if you want. If you want to not, that's fine too. But thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So, listen to this. An aurora has been seen as low as Alabama and Northern California, typically 45-degree geomagnetic latitude, right? I'm not going to go into the whole positioning of that, but this is what I was talking about 6 months ago, and I've been talking about it off and on since. They need to redo some of this, because we're seeing aurora way further south and more often than Northern California and Alabama. We're seeing it in Florida sometimes, guys. I mean, and those are from cracks, but we're still seeing them that low. So I do think, because our magnetic field is weakening, about 25% weaker than what it was. I'm not saying that that's the main player here, but I do think that they need to adjust these a little bit. Not drastically yet, but yeah, adjust them a little bit so we know, right? Now they may be talking about like widespread reports from like Alabama and Northern California. We got very, very, very few reports from Florida and Texas, right? They were just sporadic. They may be talking about here in this but they need to specify that so we're not confused, right? So they may be talking like a widespread event here instead of a crack opened up here and we seen it, that kind of thing. But yeah. Okay, Carrington app, guys, go check it out. It's on the Play Store. Please go check that out. Where you guys buy your apps and stuff. Go to whatever store you're at. Go check out the Carrington app. He's in here right now. And he does a great job. It's a really cool app. It'll show you all this stuff. A lot of stuff I'm showing you now. But it's worth getting, okay? So please go check it out. I'm not sponsored or nothing like that. I just think it's a really cool app. And he does a really good job with it. He did give me he hooked me up with the free membership over there. So thank you for that. And, we talk in the background anyway. We email back and forth. I just think he does a really good job. It's pretty cool. So go check it out. It's called the Carrington app. So, again, guys, that's what we can expect, okay? Now, I'm not even going to go into reading this G5. You guys can pause it right here and read it if you want. But essentially, things just get progressively worse, okay? That's what I'm going to say. And if it's past this particular end of the G5, like past the KP of 9, then we're talking about big, big stuff, okay? So that's what I'm going to say there. Okay. Now, see what's happening here? Look. See, we dove down almost into S1 range, and it looks like it's leveling up again. This is the proton flux, the radiation storm. It looks like it might be starting to go back up again. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. So maybe that's going to hold true. Hey, Renee. What's up? Hey, good ideas with those emojis, by the way. I typed that in there underneath your comment there. It's a good idea. I'm working on finding some more of that stuff. Okay, so this is what we would call snow in space. Okay, it's just static. It's from the charged particles. It really is. People get confused when they look at this. They get really freaked out and stuff. But anytime we get a big storm, you're going to see this. But what's different about this time is it came on kind of slow as far as the protons. It wasn't like, because sometimes on the bigger eruptions, it will completely wipe this out, guys. And it does it with the snap of a finger. Okay? So, yeah. All right. Now, these are the latest SDO captures here, images. I'm just going to run through them here real quick. Now, right there, that's that X flare. Okay? And again, I'm going to say it again. Tammy talked about this. Basically, I talked about it too yesterday. But she was explaining in a little bit more detail why this happened. Basically, what you're seeing here, guys, is two high M-class flares happening at the same time that caused the X flare. That's why it came in as an X flare. If it had been no other spots on here but one sunspot, and we had the same level of X-ray flare, most likely would have produced even a more powerful CME. Okay? So in that instance, we're kind of, I guess, lack of a better word, lucky. I don't know what else to say here on that. But that's what it is. So, that's what I'll say. But we do have to pay attention to that, guys. We really, truly do. So these things are called sympathetic sunspots. And it's because they communicate with one another. You see this line right here? They were connected way back here. So they flared at the same time. And I would even say this one over here is being communicated with at the same time too. Because all three of them kind of lit up at the same time. When we detect X-ray, we really can't tell if it comes from a specific spot on the sun. Our detectors are here. So all we're seeing is X-ray. X-ray goes out in all directions. Okay? And it moves at the speed of light. So unless there's only one sunspot showing, or we only see a flare signature from one sunspot, we have to assume that all those X-rays are coming from the entirety of the disk of the sun here. Earth-facing disk of the sun. That's what you're really getting when you look at the X-ray readings. Okay? Just to point that out. Hey, Supergirl, good to see you. Hey, Daryl. Dillard, Logan. Okay. Now, guys, do you have any questions? I'm going to try to answer them best I can. I'm not going to be able to stick around too long here, but I really want to see another plot point here. For an hour and a half, we've been in a G4 storm. Okay? Just so you know. But if you got any questions, let me know. Real quick. Memory Trigger, what's up? Hey, Daryl. Yukon, what's happening? I love that name, Yukon Cornelius. I love Rudolph. Great childhood memories from that. For sure. Well, while I'm looking, waiting to see if you guys got any questions, I'll take you guys over here and we'll just start this up so we can at least have something cool to look at, This is Soho, and this is the blast that's hitting us right now. Okay? Dillard's in the house. Hey, Terry, what's up? Wow. Big shift, huh? Yeah, guys, go check out Terry, too. He reports on earthquakes. You can put your link in there, Terry, if you want. Ricky's in the house. A-Raw TV. What's up? Jerry, what's up? No, thank you, Jerry, for being here. One question. Will a home give protection? I don't know that you really need to have a protection from this. okay? As far as geomagnetism, radiation, I don't think our radiation level is high enough to really worry about that either. The people that's going to have to worry about radiation at this level would be the ones that fly high latitudes and high altitudes. Pilots and cabin crew, people that, that are prenatal, pregnant women. It's essentially like taking an x-ray, guys. And they do monitor it. They won't let their pilots fly too many hours in that kind of a condition, or their cabin crew. So I would highly suggest, if you're like pregnant, or if your wife's pregnant, whatever, consider that when you see these kinds of things before you go hopping on a plane. Okay? During these kinds of events anyway. Hey, Nita. No, Nita. It's going to be too far away from the sun. She asked, is there a possibility during the eclipse the sun will suck the comet in? She's talking about Pons Brooks 12P. It's going to be on that, from our perspective, it's going to be in the sky out next to the sun. Okay? It looks, from our view, it's going to look closer to the sun than what it actually is. So, no, it's not. It's not going to get sucked in there. I don't think it's a question of that. I think the bigger question, Nita, would be, most definitely, the sun's probably going to fire some CMEs at it. We do see that happen. Okay? It's already been hit by CMEs already. And when it did, it brightens up because it's a cryovolcanic comet. It's cold, and gases and all these other things are taking place. And I'm not going to go into detail here, but it most definitely is affected. And I showed you guys that the last CME that hit it, it actually bent the tail of the comet. And then I went back and, Dr. Tony Phillips was showing it over on spaceweather.com. Matter of fact, we'll just go over there real quick to his channel, or his webpage. He does such a great job over there, guys. He is, hey, 5G, thank you for another 5 memberships gifted. Awesome stuff. Thanks, bud. Appreciate you. But Dr. Tony Phillips, man, see, now you got me all humbled again. I get embarrassed. I'm shy with that kind of stuff. Anyway, what the heck was I even talking about? Oh, the comet. Yeah. So, back in, I can't remember what comet, I think it was Comet Inky. You guys remember that comet a few years back? The sun fired a CME at it, and it completely ripped the tail off of it. Now, the tail came back, but whatever tail was there was, pulled off for a period of time. So, the sun definitely affects the CMEs, or not CMEs, but the comets, and the comets can instigate CMEs. Now, we see more of this around planetary alignments and situations like that. That comes into play more so than a lot of other things. But when we're talking about, this comet is spiraling. I'm not sure if you still got it here. But also Dr. Tony Phillips over here at spaceweather.com, this is the big eruption there. What he uses these words. He said it was so violent, it seemed to rip the fabric of the sun. That's what he said. So, I mean, it was a violent eruption. Okay? You could see it. It got pulled back. And that's, I showed you guys the Canyon of Fire. That's exactly what that is. Right? That phenomenon. Now, it's not a fire, Canyon of Fire. Deep Quake Paul, thank you, bud. Appreciate you again coming in with 5 gifted memberships. Love it. Thanks, guys. Tell him thanks, guys. Whoever got them. Who got them? Daryl got one? Heck yeah. Jen got one? Heck yeah. TJ Makeo got one. See Here Think got one. Who got 5G's memberships? Let's go back and look. Choosy Heretics Choose Carnation Revolution now. What a name. Got one. Rhonda de Blonda. Got one. Like that name too. Seventh Sister. Like that one too. Kathy. Hey, she got one. Heck yeah. Jeremy Single. Knuckle was gifted one too. I didn't read the other ones after that. 5G did another 5. Well, thank you again. Wow. You guys are killing it. Love it, guys. Love it, love it. But thanks, guys, for doing all that. It means the world to me. It really does. I just, you guys are so, just very cool. I mean, yeah, so humbled. It's just great. I mean, and that's what I said yesterday, you know, like earlier today when I did that other stream. Deep Quake Ball with another 10. Heck yeah, baby. Love it. Hey, Leisure. Tracy got one. Rose Petal got one. Rising Storm. Tamara got one. Silver Fox, love that name. Got one. JP. 10 TV. Peter M. Places You Go. Advantage. Vib B. Heck yeah, guys. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're saying thanks too. I mean, you guys are wow. But anyway, back to what I was saying. My ear started bleeding during that other live stream last night or the night before. And the first thing Mary Miles said in the chat was, she asked me how my ear was. You don't get that in a whole lot of chats. I'm sorry. Most people just don't even care enough to pay attention to that. That's what you guys get when you come here. I try to facilitate more of a relaxed family style type of thing. 5G with another 10. What the heck, guys? Wow. Let's see here. Z got one. B&B Home. Lisa Dabney. Kimberly. Rebecca Snavely got one. Heck yeah, Becca, you got one. Gigi got one. Oh yeah, baby. Wow. I can't even tell you how, oh my gosh. I mean, thank you guys. I mean, it's never expected. I promise you that. Wow. That's all I can say. Hopefully I can earn all that for you guys. That's my goal. I want to earn that. I don't want to I'm not just going to sit back and not do stuff. Okay. I'm trying to already do things. And when we get like more members like that, I am able to add other things like extra emojis, and I'm working on that now. So anybody that's a member or not a member wants to suggest an emoji, let me know. Rebecca had a couple cool ideas. I'm making that one happen for sure. You guys will see it later. I'm not going to say exactly what it is, kind of keep it a surprise. But if you guys have any suggestions on emojis and stuff that I can add that you guys can use here, you'll only be able to use it here. So, just so you know, it's an exclusive, special type of thing here. It's one of the perks of being a member. Deep Quake, oh my God. Wow, thank you. Wow, Angel Blossom, or Angel Bloom, Angela Bloom, thank you. Well, thank you. She says, appreciate your content from the X of Texas. Heck yeah, baby. Thank you. Thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Wow, guys. Man. Deep Quake. Wow. Anybody, guys, man. I know how hard it is to earn that, guys. Earn that money. It blows my mind when you guys are that generous. It really does. Yeah. Speechless. I don't know what to say. So, hey, Axe, what's up, bud? Hey, there's one of the emojis. Check it out, guys. Right there in the middle. That's one of the special emojis right there on Axe's comment. Pretty cool stuff. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead and pop off. There's not a whole lot more for me to show you here right now. Again, I will probably come back later on tonight and give you an update. If we get to a G5 or something like that, I'm going to come on immediately, just so you know. Okay? It's not going to be something that I'm going to wait. Now, check this out. Before we get off here, we were at a G4 deep quake. Wow! Another 20? What the heck? Man. Thanks, Vicky, for putting that in there. Appreciate you. Those are all the 4 special emojis we have right now in Vicky's thing. But, guys, please tell whoever got those memberships from Deep Quake, please tell him thank. I mean, that's just awesome. Wow, guys. Wow, wow, wow. But this was a G4, right? For about an hour and a half. But look what happened. It dove off again. And this is kind of what I was wondering was going to happen. Because let me show you. This. We went positive. Now, this has a chance of going back down negative. If it does, it's probably going to boom. Okay? Deep Quake, you're awesome, man. I can't even say it enough. Hey, Daryl. Sharon, Miss Dragon, what's up? I wish I could sit here and just say everybody. But we are going to, yeah, we're going to go ahead and end this one, guys. Yeah, I want to stay, but I can't. I got some stuff I got to go do. So, all right, guys, I am going to go ahead and pop off. Thanks for all the memberships, guys. All the super chats you guys did tonight. I hope to be able to earn that from you guys. If you don't think I am, call me on it, please. Give me suggestions, what you guys want, those kinds of things. Okay? I will do my best to follow through with that. So, please share this. That's one of the biggest things you can do. Share, 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 share. Hey, E-Rock. Jen. Logan. John in the spirit, baby. Yeah, I'm going to go get some sleep, guys. I have to. Hey, Leisure. He's OG around here, guys. OG, baby. But go check out all the channels I tell you guys, okay? I'm not going to mention them right now. But go look at my awesome channel list that I have on my page. Also, on my page, there's a feature I'm able to click and turn on that will randomly pick some of the members and put their icon and their name on the front of the Wages World page. I think that's pretty cool. Gives you guys a little bit of, recognition and stuff. I think it's cool. So, but if you guys got any ideas or anything, shoot them at me. But I am going to go ahead and cut out of here, guys. I'll be back later. God bless. Love my Kool-Aid Krew, baby. Kool-Aid Krew in the hizzy. All right. God bless. Yahusha saves. And, yeah. You can drink this Kool-Aid.